All right. Hey, everyone. And thank you, Ron, for the introduction. I'm Julia Bradford. I am a security technical specialist, and I am on our Microsoft Federal team. So I cover all of our defense industrial base customers, but I've worked with Army, Navy, you name it. I've worked with pretty much all of our DoD customers in some sort of capacity in either this role or my prior role as a cloud endpoint technical specialist. So I cover everything that falls under our Defender suite of products. I also cover Microsoft Sentinel, which is our SIEM source solution. So if you have any questions about any of those topics later on, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to answer any questions. Also, prior to that role, I was a consultant for 7 years with Microsoft, doing a lot of device management with Intune. So I've been with Microsoft for 9 years now, and hopefully add a few more years after this. So we'll get started with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. That's going to be what our topic is today. So we'll be just talking about how you can protect multi-cloud and hybrid environments, also all of your Azure resources, and see everything under, one solid pane of glass in one portal. So why is it so important? I'm sure that a lot of you have done some reading in the news this past week and have read a lot about the MGM hacks. I mean, hackers are trying to get into our infrastructure, collect our data, collect personal information, also just credit card account information, in this case, even locking people out of their hotel rooms. So attacks are happening all the time. The attack landscape is forever growing. Our environments are getting more complex because it's not that we just have one cloud environment. Many of you have hybrid multi-cloud resources out there. So you're not just using Microsoft, you're using AWS, you're also using GCP. So we need to be able to make sure that we are securing all of those resources across clouds. We've also, of course, heard SolarWinds, there's password sprays. There are things like the Colonial Pipeline where they gained access to our networks through the VPN. There's Sony Pictures, who, of course, they were attacked also through phishing emails. So we have products outside of just, our cloud products that support all of these security areas. So with Microsoft Defender for Office, Microsoft Defender for Identity, it's really an all-encompassing solution. So we don't just want to, make sure that we're touching on one area like Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, and let's say, it really is a whole zero trust journey. So this is just one piece of the puzzle that we're going to be talking about. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud primarily covers servers. So think of any of your on-prem servers, Windows servers, Linux servers, etc. You can bring those on all through Azure Arc. You can also bring on your SQL servers, databases, containers, etc. So we'll be talking through some of that today. It's also a very complex and dynamic regulatory landscape that we're dealing with today. There's a lot of industry standards, and Microsoft Defender for Cloud does make it very easy for you to view exactly where your security posture is at and how you can meet these regulatory standards across the board. So whether that's HIPAA or you need to meet FedRAMP moderate, high, or even for our DoD customers, there are regulatory standards built into Microsoft Defender for Cloud that we'll take a look at in a little bit, but it gives you that holistic view into where you are in your security journey. So what is Microsoft's Defender for Cloud platform? It encompasses DevSecOps, which is one of our newer features of Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So it brings in your GitHub and any of your DevOps environments into Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So now those assets are also getting secured with Microsoft Defender. It is also a security posture management solution. So as I just mentioned, it gives you that view of where you are at in terms of regulatory compliance and gives you recommendations on how you can actually, reach a better security posture and remediate any critical risk within your environment. It's also a cloud infrastructure entitlement management solution, and it offers cloud workload protections. So as I had mentioned, Kubernetes, servers, AWS workspaces, Google Cloud, containers. So we'll take a look at everything that it can protect and how you can onboard those. It also integrates across our cloud infrastructure. So we'll take a look at the portal, and you can also see that Microsoft Purview, which is part of the data security feature that we've released, or our product, our compliance product, pretty much. That is also now a part of our Defender for Cloud portal. So you can take a view at what resources or what data might be compromised or is not labeled or could have been, moved by one of your internal resources. And it's also a part of our eSIM and as well as Azure Network Security. And then, as I mentioned, it does integrate with Microsoft Sentinel. So any of the alerts that we are pulling in from the workloads that we're protecting, we can also connect all of that information back into Microsoft Sentinel to further do investigations and also, send that information up the chain if needed, or to other ticketing systems if you have those in place as well. So it's Microsoft Defender for Cloud is primarily broken into these three areas, as I had already kind of mentioned in the previous slide. So we have the security posture, our cloud workloads, DevSecOps, and then we also have, cross-cloud and on-prem. Some of the ways that we are different than some of our other competitors is that we do have that extended multi-cloud support. So we allow for, collaboration with AWS, GCP. So any of those identities too that you're using to access those resources, we want to make sure that we are also protecting them. It's built into Azure, so you just go to portal.azure.com to access the portal, and you can do direct onboarding. And a lot of it, if it is a part of Azure already, it's an Azure resource, it's agentless, or else we bring in Azure Arc into the picture, and we deploy what's called an Azure monitoring agent onto any of the servers or endpoints that you want to, gain insights into and start analyzing. We have proactive attack path analysis, so you can prioritize those risks and get better insights into, what risks are of higher grade and how many entities, where they are on the attack path. So MITRE attack path framework is built into Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So you can see exactly where, it falls into that attack path. It's also built into our intelligent security graph. So that is a part of everything that we do pretty much security-wise within Purview, our XDR, EDR solutions, vulnerability management. Some other things that we have that are different are the code to cloud security, as I had talked about prior. So now built into our DevSecOps, we can actually do code scanning. We can also do infrastructure as code scanning. So those are two ways that we do minimize vulnerabilities within our code. And some other things that we do are reduce time to remediate. So we have built-in remediation actions from the alerts that you see within the Defender for Cloud portal. So you don't have to go out and do, extensive research. You can literally follow the steps on how you can remediate. We also have quick fix actions in there. So, the more our product evolves, the more quick fix actions that you will continually see as, our cloud just gets even more smart on these alerts that we're seeing. I've also worked with customers in the past to set up logic apps, and logic apps are basically a built-in set of actions that can be taken on alerts and incidents within Microsoft Sentinel, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, etc. So are you still able to see me? If not, that's okay. I think my camera went out.
Yes, I think the camera's out, but we can hear you fine.
I just want to make sure. All right. So yeah, the logic apps you can even add in ChatGPT responses, which a coworker of mine is doing some really cool development work on that. So he's basically, writing out ChatGPT responses to investigate and help remediate alerts and incidents within Sentinel. Really cool stuff. And we also have advanced workload protection and data security coverage within the Defender for Cloud portal. All right. So before I hop over to the portal, I did want to touch on a couple of things. So with Microsoft Defender for Cloud, there are two different tiers to it. There's the foundational CSPM, which is a free service. And then we also have the Defender CSPM. So it just adds a little bit more vulnerability scanning, a little bit more insights, integrated data. You can take a look at this after as well, and adds a few more regulatory compliance and industry benchmarks. So let me hop over and just give you a look. And I have slides after this with a lot of screenshots that I'm going to be showing. So I will leave you with those afterwards. But from the overview page of Microsoft Defender for Cloud, as I mentioned, you get there by portal.azure.com and then just do a search for Microsoft Defender for Cloud. You will find from the overview page your security posture, regulatory compliance, how many controls you've passed based off of the different regulatory standards that you have enabled for your organization. You also have the workload protections and all of your inventory. So we're just going to take a look at the security posture and regulatory compliance for today, because I don't want to boil the ocean with too much information, because there is a lot going on within the Defender for Cloud portal. So we'll hop into security posture first. So the security posture that you see up here is actually a Microsoft benchmark. So this is based off of our recommendations, and you will find, you can get your secure scores and everything else from your other regulatory compliance standards. But this is, it does align very closely to a lot of the NIST standards and things of that sort too. So you can see the security scores for all of your environments. These are all of the subscriptions and environments that we have onboarded into this particular tenant. And based off of how many unhealthy resources and what you have enabled in those environments are what make up the secure score. So we'll take a look at our Azure subscription here and view the recommendations. So this is how they're made up. Right now we're got a secure score of 32%. That is not great. We want to make it, I wouldn't say that it's feasible or necessarily like even achievable to reach 100%, especially for most of our customers. There's just going to be things that fall out of compliance, or things that you just can't enable, right? But in order to increase this score, we have given what we consider to be the most important things to enable within your environment. So enabling MFA in this environment after I went through every single one of these recommendations, would increase my score by 10 points and give me an increase of 18%. So that would bring me up to, a secure score of 50. So these are, as I mentioned, just recommendations and industry standards, pretty much based off of it aligns a lot to like the zero trust recommendations as well. So you can click on any of these, see which virtual machines might not be meeting this particular requirement, and you can get recommendation steps, view the affected resources. This is where you can also, select all these workstations and trigger a logic app, which takes action on these resources. So that would be something that you would have to go and set up your logic app. Logic apps can also just be used to make sure that you email the right team to make actions on these resources as well. And now we'll go into regulatory compliance real quick. So the regulatory compliance, also based off of, we've got our cloud security benchmark, as I mentioned before. So this is where we're getting all the recommendations for your secure score. And then you can also add in a bunch of regulatory standards based off of what your organization has to meet. So there are, as I mentioned, a bunch in here. I think there's over 50 depending on the tier that you are in. So we've got the FedRAMP, moderate, FedRAMP high, HIPAAs. I don't know if it's in here, but NIST 853s. So you can see what you're missing, what you are meeting, and then you can attest that you are meeting certain requirements if it's not something that is a built-in like assessment. There's quick fix actions. So I'll take a look at this one to show you that you can easily fix and trigger certain actions during your regulatory compliance overview. So if you need to fix any of your resources, you can do that here. I just don't have permissions in this particular tenant. And also gives you some remediation steps. Any questions so far?
I don't see any right now. I think it's good just to highlight all of these fantastic capabilities. And since so many people already Microsoft customers, a lot of these are just built in and available to them. Is that correct? Or
yeah, there are certain ones that are, part of our free tier. So go ahead and take a look at that. I can show you real quick where you can view your settings. One thing before I get off of this page, though, you are able to download reports, and this is great for anyone that has to meet assessments. So you can download this report and upload it into your, assessment tool of choice. And then from your environment settings, back to your question, you can go in and view based off of your plans. You can edit settings, and you'll find the Defender plans here under settings. And there's the foundational CSPM, which is free. So you can turn that on today and start looking at your your resources and finding recommendations. And then if you want to onboard any additional resources, you can view the plans down here as well. All right, Ron. Well, I am happy to answer any additional questions that anyone has. Or else said I don't want to boil the ocean too much today, but there's a lot more to go over.
Well, the good thing is anyone who wants more follow-up, you want to see how that plays in to your current infrastructure. There are capabilities, Julia, that are free. There's other capabilities that may require additional fees. You can contact me. We can contact Julia. Then we can look at your particular situation, see what you can use, see how this might complement and replace other tools. That's an individual decision. The thing that I think is relevant when you look at this in this Microsoft Copilot, it's basically, as I understand Copilot, it's an AI power tool, branded Copilot that Microsoft is deploying across many of its platforms to enable automation, AI capabilities in all of its core software products and solutions. Is that about right, Julia?
Yes, it is a really, really cool tool. And I wish that I had access to it myself right now, but I don't. But yes, Security Copilot is coming, and it's going to be something that we can use to help us with that deeper investigation of these security incidents and alerts, and just help our security teams and ease their lives a little bit.
Got it. And the other thing when you're looking at this is all of these capabilities that Microsoft is offering to commercial or non-federal clients. We're not really commenting anything confidential, but it's learning from all of Microsoft's experience in keeping our nation's digital infrastructure protected, and then deploying that into solutions that can benefit everyone else. Is that, again, a reasonable high-level summary?
It is, yes. And, what's also really cool about that is that, it segregates everyone's data and information based off of your tenant. So it's doing machine learning inside of your own tenant and not, taking things from the outside that we wouldn't want it to learn in.
Right.